Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy Ruffino, the host of the show, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Sheri Elle Brown. Welcome, Sheri.
Hello. Thanks for having me, Christy.
Yes, we're going to have fun. And I don't know, well, let's say this. You all cannot see the screen. I can see Dr. Sheri and she can see me, and we have matching shirts on. It's so fun. We met each other in a community, JVology community. I've met so many amazing people in there, and part of that program, we're in the elite piece of the program. We both have matching JVology shirts, so we look like twinsies. Yay. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Sheri, because she is impressive. I'm the blonde one and she's the smart one on the interview today. I'm not a real blonde, but give you a visual. So Dr. Sheri is a spiritual psychologist, health educator, de-stress doctor, and cell biologist. She is passionate about teaching women, especially overachieving type A personality women, to manage their stress and overwhelm by creating balance within. And I will tell you, I am so looking forward to this interview. So her clients are women over 40 who have noticed the physical effects of stress on their bodies, or they've been diagnosed with an autoimmune deficiency and they're ready to restore healing and calm within. Her integrative approach, using body, mind, soul awareness, and concepts of epigenetics, transforms her clients into the healthy, vibrant, balanced women they want to be post 40. How about post 50?
Okay.
Does that work?
50.
Does that work too? Okay, good. So epigenetics, cell biology, all these words, autoimmune, which I know what that is, but so many of these other words are all above my pay grade. So would love to have you tell me a little bit about what that all means and why you're so passionate about helping women like me.
Oh my gosh, that's a giant question, Christy, but let's kind of start at the beginning.
Yes.
The beginning little slice of the story is the idea, and we'll backtrack and we'll talk about the relationship between stress and gut health and how it can definitely lead us into a state of dis-ease. But I think the bigger question, because I've got this cell biology geeky science background, is that every woman should know that what we eat, what we think, what we believe, how we feel, our mindset, how we interpret our world around us, how we interpret ourselves in the world, our self-worth, affects the way that our genes turn on and off. And I don't want to get into the sciencey, bigger part of exactly how that happens. But ultimately, what can happen is that if you do feel as though stress has gotten you to the point where you really are beyond even capable of multitasking and you're feeling the physical effects of what is going on with your relationship to stress, and you have low energy, aches and pains, hormone imbalance, you can't sleep at night. These are all signs that stress may be affecting you in a way that a regular old MD would say, almost a regular old MD, would say you may be in a prodromal state of not being well, that you are absolutely inviting dis-ease into your body, into your well-being. And so what I am really passionate about is teaching women how to create an energy within. So I'm not talking about telling my clients, oh, eat this and you'll feel this way, right? It's not, I'm not a dietitian. I know functional nutrition very well. But what I try to do instead is to teach women, create an energy within you that resonates with you and aligns with you so deeply and so magically that you choose the foods that will give you the right energy. You choose the words and the thoughts that'll create that energy within that aligns in a different way. You choose the way that your subconscious talks to you, and you can begin to weed out beliefs that either serve you on a spiritual level and authentically, or they do not. And so by aligning with our authentic selves and thinking of ourselves as energy beings with everything that we do, we can really begin to have an epigenetic influence on what our cells are doing. And so it can be really profound that we absolutely have control over our health in a really profound way.
Wow. So how did why are you doing this? Like, what is your story around this?
I have so many stories, Christy, but I'll try to narrow it down. I think for me, number one, and I do want to say this too, right? As far as women go, and I know men are in that space too, but because I am passionate about helping women, part of that is, energy deep within us that has to do with karmic stuff, chakra imbalances, right? And I bring that up because I feel like I've had an entire life of many lessons of not being in my body. When I was in my late 20s, my appendix ruptured and I was septic for about 4 days and definitely was on my way out of leaving my body and moving on into the ethers and the other worlds. And when I didn't die, I had this massive revelation because I had this interesting connection to the spiritual side of things that I didn't have before. And I'll say that a different way because I've always had a spiritual connection. It's definitely where I'm coming from. But I believed when I really began to detach from my body in that moment, I thought, oh, I'm not a physical being. I'm a spiritual being. I'm an intellectual being. There are so many different aspects of who I am. I don't need my body. And I ended up spending the next decade or two meditating, working on my spiritual self, working on my intellectual self, went back to university, finished my master's degree, finished my doctorate. And so it's a little bit of a story, I think, into a little bit of a window into what we high achieving type A personalities do. We just keep going. We just keep learning. We just keep experiencing. And so I was in this deep dive mode of doing and learning and being that I kind of left my body behind in the dust. And Christy and I sort of talked about this, but really the reality is that what we need is balance. We need to create balance in our body, in our mind, and in our soul. And when one of those three pieces are off, we're creating a disconnect within. We can't leave our body behind. We can't leave our mind behind. We can't leave our soul behind, right? This integrative way of being is critical to vitality, amazing health, and amazing well-being. And so in my high achieving mode, I opened and created several businesses into my 30s and into my 40s. And at some point, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune deficiency, and everything in my life stopped. It was the wall that I hit, that there was just no way out. There was just no way energetically of mustering up that type A strength to really plow through. My plowing days were over. And in that moment, I realized, oh, wait a minute, I've got a degree in cell biology and genetics. I am a published author academically in stress management. I've got a degree in psychology. I've been meditating for 30 years. I know how to do this. I know how to heal and bring myself back. And the last and final piece in that big, big, beautiful puzzle is that we women are not men. We women we are multitaskers. We don't focus on one or two things. We focus on 300 things at once. And we can't, and I'm not saying this in a weird way. I love men and I love masculine energy. It goes back to balance. We need to take the time as type A women to not just rely on our masculine energy of punching through a to-do list day in and day out and forging ahead and plowing through and all of the words of do, go, 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 where the soft energy, the female aspect, the yin versus the yang of masculine energy, is that beautiful, soft energy of going within, of being comfortable in the darkness, of really beginning to listen to our intuition and really beginning to see just how magnificent it can be to be okay just being. Because when we go within, when we find that yin within, what we're really doing is trusting the bigger picture, trusting the universe, that we don't have to go 500 miles an hour to get things done. It's not just about that. When we honor our yin within, we are slowing down, we are recharging, we are rebalancing, we are reconnecting to the authentic feminine aspect of what we have within.
Wow. So you mentioned so many things here.
Sorry about that.
No, that's really, really good. Really, really good. So gosh, I don't even know where to begin. It really resonates with me because as an alpha, type A woman who has been single for the last, 20 years, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as raising my house, my house, like everything, I'm the one that's been in charge. And so if I didn't keep plowing through, right? If I didn't keep, pushing ahead and punching through, I'm sure I wouldn't have lost my house. I'm sure I wouldn't have lost my family, but things would have been a lot different than they are now. And so on that journey, I know I lost a lot of my feminine energy and the feminine qualities that are so important. And I know many of our listeners probably can really relate with that. Because when we're on that entrepreneurial journey and we're just taking the bull by its horns, we have to rise up to that power that we need to bring to that accomplishment. And how do we do that in a way that's still allowing us to move forward, but not losing what is so important within us, which is that yin within. So before you answer that, let's take a quick break because I want to be able to give our audience a chance to let that all soak in. I know we need a chance to have a little drink, and then we'll come right back after our commercial break. And I know you'll be able to share some great ninja tips about this topic.
Absolutely.
All right. I know. You hear us asking you to subscribe, rate, and review, but what does that really mean? Is it really that important? Well, if other podcast hosts are anything like me, they've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their show. And personally, I get really discouraged when I have something great to share and no one is listening. Beyond algorithms, ratings and reviews are critical for a show's sustainability. It goes way beyond fanning the flames of our egos or by getting a little that a girl pat on the back. Reviews create social proof and prove that our show has an engaged and loyal following. So, if you like our show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. And while you're at it, pick up one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books on Amazon. You'll be glad that you did. Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is Christy, and I don't want to hesitate any further. Let's get Sheri back with us, and let's talk more about this balance and this yin and how we can not only keep our mind sharp and our soul sharp, but also our body sharp and keep them all operating on all cylinders so our vitality can stay at its maximum level. And I know we've talked a little bit, Dr. Sheri, and I've shared a little bit about kind of, who I am, but what kind of advice can you share with me as well as the other listeners right now that are really listening and connecting with what you talked about?
I think part of it is definitely a mindset thing. So, for example, we don't have to lose that masculine energy, right? This is about balance. This is about being okay with your to-do list, being okay with getting things done, but at the same time, making sure that you are aware that your needs with carrying around female energy, and guys have feminine energy too, right? So, but the idea is, how do you begin to nurture that part of you that needs quiet, that needs calm, that needs time for reflection, that needs time to go within, right? Because when we're in type A mode, I know I can speak for myself when I'm in type A mode, and I'm also a native New Yorker, right? That combination just sort of put me on a path of, I have to get that done. I have to get that done now. I'm doing that now, right? And so the idea, of strategy is to shift your mindset and listen to yourself. Listen to what your body is saying. Listen to the thoughts that are moving in your head. Listen to what your soul is telling you it needs.
Great. Yeah.
When we don't listen, then things start to begin to break down. And I don't want to go into the whole big picture of what that looks like, but when we don't listen, our bodies will begin to break down.
Right. They'll tell us. And then we have no choice but to listen because it
Right.
will do things that we don't like.
Right. And I think what happens with women is that we'll say, oh my God, I've had a headache for 3 days and I cannot take any more aspirin. So, where's the headache coming from? Where's the backache coming from? Right. It really begins as a strategy to listen to your body and remember that pain and physical symptoms is just your body's mechanism for telling you that something's out of balance.
Yeah. That's why I'm so about 10 years ago, I stopped taking prescriptions. Well, unless I completely have to, but definitely over the counter stuff. Because if you have a headache, it means either you're dehydrated or that there's something else going on. And if we don't listen to those symptoms, our body talking to us, then it just kind of creates a snowball effect of problems.
It does. And the truth of the matter is that women are good listeners by design. That's what we do. And part of that listening definitely begins within us. And most of my clients that I work with, when I introduce this idea of mindfulness and meditation and listening to their bodies, they'll say, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time. And the thing about it is that it's a mindset shift. Because, and if I could tell another little tiny story, there was a little bit of a time where my left knee was acting funky. And I'm saying this kind of like tangentially, but the left side of our bodies are the feminine side of our bodies. Everything that aches on me is always on the left side of my body.
Oh,
So
that's
it's either
interesting.
coincidence or it's not coincidence at all, right? And this is like in Chinese medicine, and you know, our organs are either feminine or masculine. The sides of our body are masculine and feminine, et cetera, et cetera. The left side of my body, my yin side, my feminine side, my knee was killing me. And I knew it. And I just kind of was like, oh, now I've got to deal with my knee. And I went to go see an energy healer, and she said to me, Sheri, your knee is talking to you, and it really needs love. And I thought, oh my gosh, if I found a puppy, I'd give it love. If I've met a woman that, you know, was just an amazing rock star like Christy, right? I immediately be like, I love you. Of course I do, right? So we women know very much in the most natural, amazing way how to love everyone around us. And a part of that mindset shift to really be well and amazing and balanced is to really fall in love with who you are. Because when you fall in love with your body, with your mind, with your soul, with all of these different aspects that make you tick, then you will have a tendency to pay closer attention and listen and really take a deep dive into being motivated in an entirely different way to take care of yourself. Like, what am I putting in my body? What are the thoughts I'm putting in my head? What's circling around that doesn't serve me anymore? Who am I authentically? And it just really matters. And I just want to say, you know, as a side note, it doesn't mean we have to feel fantastic all the time. You know, creating balance within is not about, oh my God, I'm amazing in every single second of the day, right? That's just a lofty goal that doesn't really happen in the human body. So as long as we're aiming for balance in a very gentle, compassionate, and real way with real strategies that can help elevate you and shift your mindset where you're creating healing within and health within, that's the beginning step on that journey and on that path.
Let me ask you a little bit about food, because I know sometimes I eat things and after I eat that, I just kind of feel icky.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, are there different body types, different blood types, different things that we should be eating that are specific for us? Because there's so much conflicting information out there and advice. And I actually had somebody, I did a consultation with an expert in his space, and he told me that I should never eat a vegetable, which made no sense to me. He also told me I should only drink distilled water, which doesn't make sense to me either. But I'm only mentioning that is because there are so many people out there that have opinions about something, whether it's an expert or your aunt, you know, Sadie. But how do we follow the food plan that really is the right plan for us?
That's a great question. I'll answer it this way, just, you know, putting on my little cell biology hat for a minute. I'm not a registered dietitian, but I can tell you this. Research right now about nutrition is as individualized as the individual. We all need different nutrients the same way we need different everything as individuals. In my opinion, this is only my opinion, everyone's bodies will thrive in a different way on a different so-called diet. And I use that term very loosely. What really should be happening when we eat, and you can weed it out with different food allergies, because that's a totally different ball of wax. But in general, think about food as energy. So when I'm thinking about what I'm eating, I'm thinking about, I would like to put the most living food in my body that I can all the time. So fresh lettuce, fresh vegetables. I happen to eat a little bit of animal protein because my body works better that way. So I know vegans have their own thing and vegetarians have their own thing and blood type diet people have their own thing. I completely understand that. Absolutely, when you get into a state where your aches and pains are getting the best of you and you have chronic inflammation, that's when you need to start thinking about, shifting your diet away from foods that cause inflammation, for example. I would never eliminate an entire food group, but what I would do always, bottom line, eat foods that have the most living energy. So 75 to 80% of my diet are vegetables and a tiny little bit of fruit. And for me personally, I kind of follow along like a Paleolithic diet because it works for me. But there you go, back into that place of listen to your body and let her tell you what you are thriving on. But definitely energy filled foods that are coming as close as you can, living out of the ground.
Yeah, as a society, we eat because it tastes good. We eat because it makes us feel at the time good,
Right.
but not necessarily good for us. I remember I grew up with sugar, like so much sugar and McDonald's and processed food. And, my mom fed us TV dinners out of the freezer and vegetables out of a can. And, so I didn't learn good nutrition. And of course, I didn't necessarily teach it very well to my kids because I didn't really know any different. But now we're learning so much about proper nutrition. And we have the power. We really do. We have the power to keep our body fueled the way it should. We kind of got off the topic of feminine energy, but I believe as women, we really need to, we need to prioritize our health, and we need to take time for, if we have to meal prep, we need to make that a priority.
Right.
Because I know a lot of times, I'm doing really a lot better now because I do like a protein shake with a bunch of vegetables and grains and good things in it. And so I feel that that's really helped me a lot. But for years, I would work all day and like have a piece of cheese and a couple crackers and then get back to work. And terrible eating habits.
Right.
But it's because I didn't make time for it. So I think that's a key piece to keeping that vitality, is prioritizing our body.
I do too. And I, there are times if I'm working and I'm on the fly, I'm thinking about, right, you can never go wrong with just, getting a head of lettuce and then just quickly slicing up a little bit of onion or a little bit of pepper or whatever vegetables you want, right? So we have an idea in our heads, I can't eat healthy, I don't have the time, I'm exhausted. And it literally takes, maybe an extra 15 or 20 minutes to just sort of like pre-plan a meal that includes more vegetables, right? It doesn't have to be, and and I'm going to say this in a different way, Christy, it doesn't all have to happen at once. So if I have a day of, where I'm thinking about what to cook for dinner, I'm thinking, well, I need a vegetable that'll give me these nutrients, something green. I need a color of the rainbow. So I'm always thinking in terms of color of the rainbow, right? I want a piece of red vegetable, orange vegetable, green vegetable, right? So you just sort of build on that strategy, and it definitely doesn't have to happen at once. The idea is to just sort of make slow changes and let them happen over time, and you'll refine the way that you choose what foods you will put in your body, because you love yourself so much. You don't need to have, 25 pancakes with fake sugar syrup on them ever again.
Oh, I don't know about ever again. Pancakes are my one weakness, but I try to eat like a half of one, maybe once in a great while.
Yeah, me too.
That is my pancakes. But no, when I eat it though, honestly, when I eat it, I feel terrible afterwards.
Right.
So I know I'm going to feel bad. But every once in a while in my brain, I feel that is a treat. So I don't know. What can I say? All right. Well,
life, we need to treat ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that.
I know. All right. Well, thank you so much. I know you have a free gift. It is amazing what you're sharing with us. Can you tell the audience about what that is? Of course, the links for everything to connect with Sheri on her website, her social media channel, and this free gift will be in the show notes below. But give us a brief description of what you're sharing with us.
And definitely, I don't know if I've got my email address for you, but we can always include that. Anyone can email me at any time. So I wrote and recorded a saltwater bath meditation. And I know I probably am time limited. I'll try to make it fast. So 70% of the human body is made of water. And so water is a really good medium that kind of just sort of energetically matches the natural way of being of our body. And then on top of that, I suggest doing an Epsom salt bath, because if you are not eating healthy, especially any kind of green, you could possibly be magnesium deficient. Most of us are magnesium deficient because we, number one, don't eat a lot of greens. And number two, our earth has been over gardened, over processed so much that it's hard to get all the nutrients we need from soil. And so the saltwater bath does this amazing combination of getting your beautiful body that is mostly made of water into the water, getting a little bit of that magnesium and an Epsom salt back into your body. It's amazing for aches and pains. And you can, rejuvenate. You can rejuvenate with magnesium. It's just a great trace element that can help you, get a little bit of more balance within. The third thing is that water is a medium to nurture yin energy. Water will bring you down. So even if you're insanely busy with a massive to-do list and you don't know where to start to ground yourself and bring you back to yourself, take a saltwater bath, 30 minutes once a week. Make it happen, because that water energy is a yin energy. That's the best place where you can go to begin to get mindful and to take a little bit of a meditation if you can get in that space. And so I wrote this chakra meditation. You could do it without the water and without the salt and the whole bit. You can lay down in bed. It takes about, I think it's like less than 15 minutes. And I take you through all of your chakras from your root up to your crown to just sort of rebalance them, right? These are like the energetic centers in your body from the base of your spine that go all the way up through to the top of your head, that connect not only with the physical part of your body, but also the energetic part of who you are in the world. And each chakra has its own characteristic. So that's what the meditation is about. So it's this all around, big healthy picture of getting back to yourself, giving your body magnesium, getting back to your yin, and giving you a place to just chill out and meditate for a half an hour.
Once a week. All right. I'm going to put that on my calendar.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sheri, for joining us. This was, I think we went way longer than we normally do, but it was so good that I was not even paying attention to the time. So I really love this episode, and I want to thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
And all of you listening, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And I would encourage you to take one or two things that you learned and share it with somebody you care about. Because for me, I implement things better when I teach it to somebody else or share it. And of course, we would love to have you share our show with people you love. Not only do we have amazing guests like Dr. Sheri, but we have so many others, and we would love to be able to share their ninja tips with your friends as well. So thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.